The whining, the screaming, the childish behavior from the left has begun after Trump's win. Tony Kinnett is an investigative journalist with the Daily Signal. Curtis Houck is the managing editor of Newsbusters. Good afternoon to both of you.
Good afternoon.
So every time a Republican wins the presidency, you got the progressives from the entertainment industry, and they say that they're going to move to another country. But for some reason, they never leave. Rosie O'Donnell is still here. Cher said last year that she was physically ill during Trump's first term and said emphatically that she'll leave if Trump won. So, Curtis, should we, start a GoFundMe for Cher to get some moving expenses for her? Something? Get her out of here?
Yeah. I mean, I think the joke's going to be on them if they do try to move to Canada when Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative Party in Canada, just absolutely wiped the floor with Justin Trudeau. What are they really going to do in that situation? Things are not going well for the Labour Party already over in the UK. What are you going to do there?
Tony, who was the worst of them all? Was it De Niro? Was it Springsteen, who at the end was just annoying? Who's the worst?
No, the worst was Green Day. So I grew up, like Curtis did, in that age where Green Day was coming out, Iraq War, all of these anti-Cheney songs and whatnot. And then to see Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney ally with Green Day for Kamala Harris was the most beautiful, gut-wrenching bit of poetic justice. So it's like what Rage for the Machine now, I guess, is the modern rebel movement. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it really is. And they don't see the irony in any of it. They're so blinded by it. But was there anything more pathetic than Jimmy Kimmel having a meltdown and crying on the air because Trump won? Watch this and honestly, get the Kleenex out. Watch this.
It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go.
I mean, he went on to say, by the way, that if you voted for Trump, it's a bad day for you. You don't realize it, yes. And I mean, I voted for Trump, but I don't know. Is Jimmy Kimmel, maybe he's right. I don't know. This is really bad. Curtis, help me.
Well, Rob, Jimmy Kimmel also kind of went after his supporters, being like, I guess you guys didn't talk. It was something to the effect of, I guess you guys didn't talk to enough people or email enough of your friends, knock on enough doors. I mean, it really is ridiculous that, really, at the end of the day, sometimes you do lose. I mean, we all know that, unfortunately, that you lose elections sometimes. But I think with Democrats, there is a point where they believe it is actually impossible for them to lose. And because they lose, it's always someone else's fault, that they don't need to look in the mirror. They don't need to examine themselves. And that's what we've seen across all of these networks. John Dickerson was choking up on CBS to Colbert. Yeah. So crying was a theme that we saw, not surprisingly.
Thank God they're not in charge. And did you see, they ran on threat to democracy, blah, blah, blah. Well, for those polled who said, I'm voting because I think there's a threat to democracy, the majority voted for Donald Trump because they thought the left was the threat to democracy, which is terrific. Is there anything better than watching the ladies on The View dress in black the day after Trump wins? I mean, this was a Yenta funeral, was it not, Tony?
Yeah, and it was truly fantastic. I was actually hoping they would walk out in the red dresses and the white bonnets of The Handmaid's Tale, since that's so clearly their weird fetish that they have for themselves. But what's even better was watching them begin the bickering. The infighting has begun because now you actually see Trump winning Hispanic men, which, again, as a former teacher who speaks fluent Spanish, I'm all for, because especially where I taught in Wisconsin, the shift towards really hardline conservatism isn't just palpable, it's prescient. And so what I'm seeing right now is a Democratic Party that is not just cutting Hispanics off, but is throwing them over to Republicans over the boat. And it's fantastic. I'll take it all day. And if the ladies on The View cry and fight over it, that just makes it all the sweeter.
Yeah, it really is. Curtis, you got 15 seconds. You can go off on whatever you want on these ladies.
Well, I just have to say, I mean, maybe the ladies of The View will be replaced by those monkeys that escaped from South Carolina or something like that. People
That
would
would be
actually
real
tune
talent,
in for
though.
that. That would make be more entertaining TV.
It would be. And what'd you say, Tony? They'd be more talented, right?
That'd be real talent on
Yeah.
The View, and that's not allowed.
And real entertainment. Guys, I appreciate you coming on.